Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I decided to do these next couple of videos a little bit differently. I'm just going to be recapping kind of on my last couple weeks. So I'm going to be starting at 23 weeks, and then in this video I'll be going up to 25 weeks and just kind of recapping on each week on how my week was and what I experienced and how I felt and my blood sugars. Starting with week 23, so the baby had a pretty big growth spurt, I'm assuming, during that time, because just randomly my blood sugars just skyrocketed and they were like crazy high, and like it was pretty hard to get them down. We ended up having to like change all my settings, and even then it like still took a little bit to like get them back down. So I do like my insulin for what I was eating, but I guess I wouldn't do it soon enough before I ate. So then as soon as I would eat, the food would overpower the insulin and my blood sugar would still rise up, and it would take forever for it to drop back down before I ate again. So I ended up realizing that I needed to start bolusing at least like 15 minutes before I ate, and then that kind of ended up helping me get back into target faster. So it would be like I would have to figure out what I was eating, how much I was planning to eat, do my insulin for that meal, and then in 15 minutes from then, that's when I would be able to have my supper or my lunch or breakfast, whatever I was eating. And I ended up finding that actually helped. And I think that was it that I kind of realized for 23 weeks. I was also, throughout this whole pregnancy, I've been crazy constipated because as with my last, my son, my firstborn, he was premature. So this time I'm actually on progesterone pills, which are supposed to help me not go into premature labor again. So it says for those that it makes you extra constipated, minus all the progesterone you're already producing in your own body. So I'm on extra of that, so it's been a wild time. Jumping into 24 weeks now, I was experiencing lots of headaches and migraines, which is a normal pregnancy symptom. They were doable. I mean, I would just take a Tylenol, just one here and there, and normally it'd be like one Tylenol every other day or whatever for my headaches, and it seemed to work, seemed to help, so that was good. And then again, I was still just dealing with lots of high blood sugars as well that I was working on trying to get down, and I was still doing my insulin about 20 minutes before I ate, and it was helping with highs. Also, our weather here in Saskatchewan has been warming up now, so we've been able to get outside more often, and we've been doing lots of walks, which is helping bring my blood sugar down as well, so that's been nice. 24 weeks has also been lots of aches and pains, like throughout my entire, or from 16 weeks onwards till the end, like with my son, I had bad tailbone pain, and with this pregnancy, it actually ended up starting earlier, so that was nice. I started at 12 weeks instead of 16 weeks, so I've been dealing with bad tailbone pain since 12 weeks on, so that's been extra achy. And then also, I've been experiencing round ligament pain now in my stomach, and it's kind of scary because I constantly think it might be like a Braxton Hicks, except I don't really know what Braxton Hicks feels like, because with my son, all I had was back contractions that I can remember, so I don't really know what to expect when it comes to normal contractions now, so it's been, yeah, quite scary. And I also ended up doing this weird thing where I moved forward into the side, and I ended up like feeling this weird like kick sensation like in my stomach to like the right of my belly button. So now whenever I touch in that spot, it feels like I'm bruised there. And I mentioned it to my obstetrician that I saw at my last appointment, and he had said that it could have been just from the baby kicking in that certain spot constantly, or it was also from the uterus like growing and expanding. So I don't know. I'm thinking it might have been just like a pulled muscle I might have done, because like I've had it happen a couple times now. It was just this one time that it like really kind of was like, it really hurt. So he said, the obstetrician I saw is saying that it could last till the end of pregnancy, so I guess we will see. I'm monitoring it. I don't feel any different. The baby's still moving and kicking the same amount. It's very, very, very active, which is good. So that's been a huge relief. And then still just lots of constipation. I ended up finding something to try and take for it, and I'm taking Metamucil. I'm doing Metamucil in the morning and night actually, so that way at least I'm getting it twice. I think the max you can do is like 3 times a day, so I'm trying twice a day. It's been kind of making me more regular, just not maybe to the extent I'm hoping for. I ended up also buying these pills that make you go in like 6 to 12 hours. I haven't had to take that yet, so we'll see how things go. But that is 24 weeks for you. Okay, now recapping on week 25. So constipation is still a thing. It's just never gonna go away. So I'm gonna just stop talking about it now because I feel like it's gonna be in every single week in every video I do. Round ligament pain is also still a thing. I'm still feeling lots of, like, I guess pressure on my sides, mostly the right side. So, which is normal. And then I also still have that bruised feeling going on. Like I can literally push on it and I can feel how it feels bruised underneath the skin. There is no bruise physically there. It's just all underneath. So still gonna wait and see. Hopefully it ends up healing and it doesn't last to the end of pregnancy. I mean, it's not a huge inconvenience. It's just weird. I don't know. I never had a lot of these issues I'm having this pregnancy as I did with, I'm having more issues this pregnancy than I did with my son. So it's been quite a wild ride for sure. My blood sugars have now gone back, in 25 weeks, my blood sugars now went back to target. And then my A1C I found out was 6.2, which went up from my last A1C, which was probably due to the last 2 weeks of craziness. So just working on making that go back down so I stay around the 6s, like 6.0 I'm saying. That's my goal to stay in. Yeah, and then I also saw my obstetrician was on holiday, so I saw a different obstetrician, and then this one is also just trying to get me booked in to get an echocardiogram done on the baby so we can find out what's actually going on with his heart, because we've been told a bunch of different things now. We've been told that he has 2 holes, an ASD and a VSD, and then this last time we were just told he only has 1 hole, which is just a VSD. So once we have the echocardiogram, we will get hopefully more clarity on what is going on and what to expect. Alright, so I'm back with my videos. I'm back to recap my 26 weeks, 27 weeks, and 28 weeks. So starting with 26 weeks. During 26 weeks, I was starting to pee more often, mostly throughout the night, of course, because anytime you're trying to get some rest in, there's always some type of little thing happening. I was waking up anywhere between 2 to 3 times a night, which I still am at this point, where I am 30 weeks almost. Headaches were a major thing during 26 weeks, and then my blood sugars actually were in target, and then I stopped doing insulin like minutes before I was eating, which was nice because I kept forgetting to bolus prior to meals because I'm just not used to that. And then I was also feeling a lot more tired and exhausted, and like I think I was napping probably every day during that week. Whenever my son would go down for a nap, I would go down for a nap, so that worked out nicely at least. So 27 weeks, I ended up having a spike in my blood sugars again, which could be just because I wasn't bolusing before meals, which seems like was the issue because I just started bolusing like about 15-20 minutes before I would eat, and then I also made changes in my settings and that seemed to do the trick. So yay for high blood sugars, but at least we got them under control that week. My back was also very achy, and then I ended up starting to eat less at meals because my uterus is growing now, so it's putting more pressure up in my ribs, and then making it so that I can only take in smaller meals every so often. I actually haven't found that I'm like extremely hungry or anything. It's just like I'll eat at my meals and usually I'm pretty good. I've also started having heartburn more often, where Tums was a good thing to have. And then during 27 weeks, I was still very tired and exhausted, taking the odd nap here and there whenever I could. Sometimes I couldn't nap, which I would just lie down and at least get some like quiet time while my son would nap or have his quiet time, which worked out nicely. And then I finally ended up getting a phone call about when we were going to have our echocardiogram, which was booked for April 27th. So we definitely looked really forward to that, just so we would get some clarity on what was wrong with our baby boy. And yeah, and then he also just started getting a lot more active and stronger. Like, I constantly feel him move and kick, and it's awesome, but not when you're trying to sleep or during the middle of the night. Sometimes just like, okay, let's relax, but it is what it is, and it's still an amazing feeling and a good feeling because it reassures me that everything's okay with him. Now recapping 28 weeks. So 28 weeks I was still I'm still peeing often, still 2 to 3 times a night, and then I don't even know how many times during the day, probably a lot. My uterus has moved more upwards, and like I've found it like kind of harder to breathe whenever I lie down flat. Luckily for us, we have an adjustable bed frame, which is beautiful during pregnancy and also during your postpartum. Mostly because for me, when I had my C-section, it was hard to get out of bed. Like, you can only lie on your back, so then like getting up was a lot more easier, I found. But yeah, so then for our adjustable bed frame with the whole hard to breathe thing, I have it so that our heads are more elevated, so it just like the baby stays more down and doesn't like come up near my ribs, so that's nice. He's gotten a lot stronger. And then just talking about blood sugars now, my blood sugars were great, they were in target, and then I was still bolusing every like 20 minutes before breakfast mostly. My supper wasn't too bad, it was mostly just breakfast, because every time after breakfast, I can show a graph here, that every time after breakfast I always get like a high, like a big jump in my graph, and then it'll go back down, and then like the rest of my day is fairly decent, but it's always just like that big jump right after my breakfast, which we've like tried working on throughout my entire pregnancy, and it just, that graph just will not stay flat in that time. So I've been trying to keep it more straight and not so wavy. But yeah, so that is 28 weeks, and then my echo is next week, which we are super excited about and also a little bit nervous, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I'm actually gonna end this video here. I think I recapped from 23 weeks to 28 weeks, and then my next video, I will start it off at 29 weeks and talking about our echocardiogram. And I'll probably go up until like about 33, 34 weeks, and then I'll make another video recapping from whatever week till probably around 36, 37 weeks, because I think right now we have our C-section planned for 36.5 weeks, which I am so excited about, because I am so excited to be done being pregnant and of course meet our little baby boy. So yeah, that's that. And so don't forget to subscribe and follow along with my weekly updates on type 1 diabetes and pregnancy. Thank you.